Who wants to see me haul some books? Hello, and welcome to a new video. My name is Smriti. If you don't already know, I love to read books, and it was my birthday this month, and you, cutie pies, some of you at least, have gifted me some books. So I am here to show you all the books that I've got, but also I went to Delhi the month before, and I love the indie bookstore scene there, so I went a little cuckoo and may have bought some more books for myself. So I am here to show you all the books that I bought from Delhi as well. So there are a lot of books to talk about, and I'm gonna get into it quickly now because yes. Okay, so the first book that was gifted to me, well, not necessarily like the first book that came in. I'm just doing it in like height order and like lengthwise and all of that. But yes, anyway, this book was gifted to me by Neetu. So thank you so much, Neetu. You know how much I appreciate everything that you do, and you don't really have to buy me books, but like I just appreciate it nonetheless. But this one is Untamed Shore by Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is most famously known for the book Mexican Gothic, but she's written a lot more books, and this is one of her most recent releases. It's sort of like historical fiction, but it also has like a thrillery aspect of it, because essentially we're following this woman in California somewhere in 1979, and she becomes the assistant of this wealthy American family, and then things start to go wrong and we don't know who to trust anymore. So I don't know, I just think that she writes really interestingly, so I can't wait to read this book. Another book that I can't wait to read because I have heard extremely good things about, and that is this one. Who has given me this book? Harsha? No. Was it Harsha? I think it was Harsha. Yeah, okay. So this book is basically a Greek myth retelling, and it's about this character whose name is Clytemnestra. It's a weird name to say. But yeah, I've heard such good things about this one because apparently it is better than like Circe and like Madeline Miller, which is a really high bar. You know what I mean? Because I mean, if you've read Madeline Miller before, you know how good her writing is. So I was like, how is that a thing? And I don't know, I just got really intrigued by it, but also I really like anything to do with like retellings and like the Greek myths and all of that, especially after like Madeline Miller wrote so beautifully about them. So yeah, also this cover again is quite stunning. So thank you. I think Harsha. I think I'm not. I may be completely wrong about this, but yeah, it didn't have a thingy inside it. So oh wait, it does. I saw it. I was right. It is Harsha. Okay. Haha. I am so smart. Okay. Cool. So that's the second book. We're off to a great start. Next, I got 3 books by one person, which is freaking insane. Like no one should have to do that. But all these books are by Shikha Singhania, and she's written like really cute notes, which I'm going to keep with me forever. But the next book that I want to talk to you about is this one, which is Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. Olivia Blake has written this really famous thing called Atlas 6, which had like the entire book world sort of talking, because I don't know, it was just doing that. But fantasy and like all of that is not really my thing. So I heard a lot about this one, which is apparently like a love story between 2 people, but it essentially is a lot of conversations, and I was really intrigued by that. But also a lot of people are like, oh my god, it's written so really well. So I don't know, I just got really intrigued by that. I'm also like currently reading a lot of romance weirdly, so I was interested and I wanted to know what this is about and how I would feel about it. So this is one. Then the second book that Shikha got me was this one, which is I Am, which is by Maggie O'Farrell, which is about her 17 brushes with death, which I think is like a bit too much. Like I really hope you're okay and are going through some solid therapy, because 17 brushes with death just seems like a lot. So this is her memoir of sorts where she talks about this, but also she has written one of my favorite books of all time, which is Hamnet, and I think her writing is absolutely exquisite, so I can't wait to read this one. But also the third book that Shikha gave me is this one, which is Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. This is a sort of thriller where this woman basically sees out of a window that her son has killed someone, and she's like in shock because she's like, what the hell just happened? But she goes to sleep. First of all, I don't know how can you go to sleep if you think your son has killed someone, but I will read the book and find out. But when she wakes up, she finds out that like she is in the previous day, and each time she sleeps she goes back like a day further. So she's one, trying to figure out what exactly is happening, but also trying to figure out what exactly is happening with her son and why he killed, stabbed, shot someone. But yeah, that's basically what this book is about. It was also a Reese's book club pick, and I know a lot of people have really enjoyed this, so I'm excited to see if I like it too. Then I have a very generous friend called Neville. Neville is an absolute sweetie. He, by the way, if you like improv and you want to learn improv and you are in Bombay, then I will link his organization to you because he is amazing, and he has given me this book, which was very expensive. But the book is Slow Days, Fast Talk by Eve Babbitts. Eve Babbitts I've heard a lot about because she was at the same time as Joan Didion. Now I haven't read Joan Didion either, but I have heard that she has like some really interesting writing, and she's also written a lot of like sort of salacious things. So this is basically essays about the world, the flesh, and LA. So during the time of like the 70s, 60s, 70s, she penned down a bunch of stuff, and it seems that it was really good. So this is one of her most famous works, and it was quite expensive. So I appreciate you, Neville. I will hopefully get you some more business and like repay you somehow. But yeah, then next I have a book that was actually like, it's on my shelf because this person read it and loved it. Like, so basically it was on my wish list because they read it and loved it, and then that person themselves bought it for me, which is just like, I love that that happened. But this is The Collected Schizophrenias by Eve Esme Weijun Wang, and this is basically, I think, about like her own like her dealing with her chronic illness and with dealing with like schizophrenia in general and what that was like. And I've heard from Harshpreet how absolutely amazing it is and how it's like so brilliantly written, but not just from her, from a bunch of other people as well. So I'm excited to see for myself and read it. And thank you, Harshpreet, you absolute sweetie pie. Okay, then Kalpana gave me this book, which is The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. So you may know of this name of the author because she wrote A Little Life, which I don't know, is one of the most famous books that can make you cry. And this was her first book. So I've heard slightly iffy things about this book as well in terms of like characters and like just how things were depicted. But I know that Hanya ma'am can write. You know what I mean? Like, I know that she can write really well. So I wanted to read it and see for myself what I think about it as well. So yeah, that was the plan. That's the plan essentially. So this is a book that Kalpana gave me. So thank you, Kalpana. Then there's a book that has been on my wish list for a really long time, and that is this one, which is The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller. Now, this book I think was longlisted for the Women's Prize in either 2020 or 2021, and I heard really good things about this one. So essentially, it's about this woman who is swimming somewhere, and as she is doing that, she's reflecting on her relationship that she's had with her husband for the past like 20-30 years or something like that, as well as like her love slash her best friend, like her first love slash best friend or something like that. And like essentially she has to like choose between these two lives or something like that. I'm not too sure, but I've heard that is written really well, and like you also just want to know what happens with these characters. So yeah, this is a book that I've been meaning to read, and I may have the plot completely wrong, but I think I am right. So yes. Now, the other two books that were gifted to me by my friend Aniket. Aniket is absolutely amazing, and he gifted me these books because he thought that I would just really like them. I've had my eye on them for a while, but he was just like, you need to read them. So this one is The Bangalore Detective Club, and then the sequel, which is Murder Under a Red Moon. And this one is essentially about this woman who moves to, or like this family that moves to Bangalore, and then something happens, the crime happens, and they decide to solve it themselves. I assuming that it's sort of like a cozy mystery of sorts, but I've heard really, really good things about both of these. So I'm excited to like read them finally and see what I think. But also, as I've said, like beautiful covers. So can't wait. I love that like it's set in Bangalore, which is a city that has like absolutely an amazing book culture, by the way. So if you want, I will link you to a video where I have visited three of the most famous Bangalore bookstores. And then also there's another hall there. So if you want to check out another hall from another bookstore thingy, you can do that. But yeah, those are that. And thanks, Aniket. And then another friend of mine, Juhi, gave me this book, which I am so excited to read because it's a book that has been on my like I don't know, it's not been on my wish list per se, but it's been like in my head for a really long time. And that is this one is Snakehead. So it's by Patrick Radden Keefe, who has written some amazing investigative journalist sort of books. And this one is that too. Essentially, in this book, he talks about the Chinese mafia. So basically, Chinatown's underworld. So it is an epic tale of the Chinatown underworld and the American dream. So I just think that that is just like such an interesting like topic. So I just can't wait to read this and see what like he has to say about it and what he's like sort of uncovered and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, thank you, Juhi. Now the next book that I'm going to show you is the last one that I have from like the gifts that you have given me, but it is by a person who I don't know who has gifted me this book. Does that make sense to you? I don't know who gifted this book to me basically, and that is this one, which is Finding Me by Viola Davis. Now Viola Davis is an amazing actress. She is most notably known for the main female lead in the amazing TV show How to Get Away with Murder. So if you haven't watched that, just do yourself a favor and start watching it, and like you may not be able to stop. But yeah, this one is about her memoir, her story, about what all she went through and like her journey and like just all of that sort of stuff. And I know that it's going to be amazing. It was also an Oprah Winfrey's book pick, so you know she chooses good books as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this. It's also like a stunning cover, like we're together. But yeah, that's all that I have for this haul. And please let me know if you are a person who has gifted me this book, because I don't know who's given it to me. And yeah, that's all for the gifts that I got. I am so excited to have all of these gifts given to me. It's absolutely insane that you guys do such sweet, cute things and make me feel so loved and happy, because I wasn't really looking forward to my birthday as much this year. But getting all of these books one by one just made me so extremely happy. So thank you so much for doing this. And yes, that's all. I've already made a really sappy video before, which we will not ever talk about. So yeah. Alright, moving on, we are moving to the books that I bought from the bookstores in Delhi. So, as I've said, there are three main bookstores that I absolutely love, and each time that I go to Delhi, I make it a point to visit all of these three bookstores. So, I'm gonna start off with Bahrisons, which I usually visit in Khan Market. They have a bunch of other bookstores in Delhi as well as Chandigarh and Calcutta, and they are just like amazing. They have like the best collections, and if you ask nicely, they will also give you a discount. So yeah, I bought three books from actually I bought more books, but then I gave them to some of my like aunts and people in Delhi in general. So yeah, okay. Let's just talk about the ones that I have with me right now. So I first of all have Yellowface by Arif Kwang. Now, I don't think I need to tell you what this book is about, because like it's pretty much the rage on the internet. Everyone is talking about it, everyone has read it, and essentially if I have to tell you and you haven't heard of it, it's basically about this woman who has stolen the manuscript of her friend, who is this amazing writer, but she's Asian and she's written this book, like this manuscript, and no one knows about it. So when she steals it, she publishes it in her name, but of course it has Asian characters, etc., etc. So there's this whole conversation about like diversity in publishing, as well as like how publishing can be weird in terms of like its race and all of that sort of stuff, and yeah, just calling out a lot of different things in the world today. And many people have liked it, and I have been meaning to read it as soon as like I heard of it, but I haven't because I am self-sabotaging that way. You know what I mean? Self-sabotaging, that's what I meant. But anyway, another book that I have here is a book that I saw on the internet and was like, oh my god, this sounds amazing, because it is called Becky by Sarah May, and this basically talks about the 90s tabloids. So essentially there's this girl called Becky who is like a socialite, and she's trying to climb the ladder, and there's something that happens that like turns everything. I'm not too sure. Like something really, like there's a fall from grace, and it's a dark, entertaining, and delicious read that charts the rise and fall of an unforgettable heroine, perfectly capturing the frenzy of our modern world. So that sounds absolutely amazing. I know it's a little chunky. By the way, bahrisons does this amazing job of having like these most amazing like bookmarks. Like I love the prints that they have. So each time I go there, I'm just like, give me all the bookmarks that you have, and let me see what new prints you have. So yeah, just go and like take all of the bookmarks. But yeah, they have some amazing things. So that's Becky. And by the way, I think you see that it looks a little tilted, and I just realized that it does. So I'm a little upset about it. So maybe I have to like fix this a little bit. But I think it looks fine. I don't know. Maybe my camera is tilted. I don't know. Okay, but the next book that I have is a book that I just saw in Bahrisons, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds so interesting. And that's what I love about going to a bookstore, because you find books that you may not have heard of before. But this one is Grave Expectations by Alice Bell, and this is basically a book about this woman who is a freelance medium. So basically, she can like see, hear ghosts, and she's invited to and like a party where like there's supposed to be a murder party or something like that, but then something goes missing, or no, someone dies, and then she and like the other inspector who is called in to solve the murder are sort of like involved in trying to like solve the case or something like that. And I just thought that it was really interesting. And this one line in the back says knives out vibes with added ghosts, fresh, funny, and hugely enjoyable. But like knives out with ghosts, that just, I mean, that sounds amazing. I was just like sold, completely sold. Let me buy it, let me read it. So yeah, that's basically what this book is about, and I will read it and tell you my thoughts. All right, next we have this book, which is Old God's Time. Now these are books that are long listed for the Booker Prize, and I do plan to read the Booker Prize books. So this is one of them. This is by Sebastian Barry, and he has written this book, which is basically about this guy who was a detective, but now he's retired and is living somewhere in like England, in the countryside or something like that. And then these two other detectives come in and try to like question him about a cold case or something like that. And then it basically goes back and forth in time or something like that. But I have heard that this one has like the unreliable narrator trope, which I absolutely love, but if it's done well, and I've heard that it's done well, so I'm excited to see what is in store for me. So this one is a book that I definitely plan to read. I have also just realized that I don't know where another book is that I bought from Midland. Shout out to Midland, by the way, who always gives me 20 or 25% discount wherever. Like you just need to enter and they'll give you 20% discount. It's amazing. It's awesome. And they have such a great collection of books, and they also send books to you. So I sometimes just get my aunt to go to Midland and like get the books for me, because she comes to Delhi, like Bombay, quite often from Delhi. So yeah, I also bought this book, which is In Ascension by Martin McInnes, and this was one of the books that I had guessed on, like when I made this book a video where I was reacting to the long list, and I had like a my predictions list. So this was one of them. And then the other book that I said I don't know where it is because it's not in this pile right here, is the other one, but I'll talk about it and I'll just put like the image here. But we are talking about this book, which is In Ascension, which is basically about this marine marine geographer. What is it? Are you a marine biographer?
Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Are you dumb?
What are they called? I don't know, says the person who studied like economics and English literature. So this book is basically about this woman and her team who discover something deep down underwater, under like the trenches or whatever, which also somehow connects to space. So I had heard really, really good things about this book. I heard that like it was really beautifully written and all of that sort of stuff. But what has happened that ever since it got longlisted for the Booker, a lot of other people have started reading it, and a lot of other people are like, it may not be that good. So I'm a little confused about that because I was initially really excited and now I'm just like, a little tentative. So I think that that is a good thing because that means that my expectations are in check and they're not in the Czech country. They're still here. I wish my expectations and me were in check. Never mind, that was a terrible joke. Cool. Then we have this book, which is a book that I thought would be on the Booker long list because a lot of people were like, hey, this could be there. And this one is Burnham Wood by Eleanor Catton. Now, Eleanor Catton has already won a Booker, which is for the Luminaries, which is a big ass freaking book. Okay. And I tried to read it many times and I would just get about 20 pages in and then I would be confused and then just keep the book down. So maybe it is time for me to read that, but first I will read this and tell you what I think of it because essentially this is about this guerrilla sort of group, not G-O-R like G-U-E-R I don't know how to spell. Okay, so yeah, who basically like plant plants in unknown places or something like that. And then there is a billionaire who is also has an like involvement in this, and then something happens. I'm not too sure, but it's supposed to be a propulsive literary thriller which is Shakespearean in its wit, drama, and immersion in character. So all of those sound really good to me. I don't know how this book actually will be because I've again heard a lot of like mixed reviews about it, but I think it'll be good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm excited to have that next to me. But a book that I've heard only amazing things about is this one, which is In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. And this one is basically about these two boys, like 17-ish year old, who sign up for World War One to fight for their country. And it's supposed to be a queer story, but it's also like about these characters, and like it's got such amazing reviews. So for example, I have this person who I absolutely trust, whose name is Scott, and he runs this booktube channel called Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I mention him a lot. Plot a lot. I rhyme all the time. Scott, plot a lot. Okay. Sorry, I get very pleased with myself. But yeah, this book has been spoken about a lot there, and I just thought that it sounded really good, and I wanted to read it because I like these sort of books. I like World War fiction books. I like queer books. I like well-written books. And yeah, that's that. And then we have this one, which is also a gorgeous, gorgeous freaking book by Zuban Publishers, which is an indie publisher in India. And you have to also look at these end pages. What a beauty! But essentially, this one is a book from Mizoram, which is a state in the northeast of India, and these are collections of stories, of folk tales, of various different things from the state. So translated or written in English directly, but it is edited by these people. Okay. And yeah, I just was really excited to see this again. I hadn't heard of it, but I saw this at the bookstore at Midland, and I was like, oh my god, I don't think I've read anything from Mizoram. I would love to do that. So I got this book, and I hope to read it soon. I do this thing all the time where I buy these books, and then just like it sort of goes back in like my, you know what I mean? I just need to get to them is basically what I'm trying to say. But a book that I have gotten to and have finished and will speak to you about in an upcoming vlog is this one, which is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman, translated from French by Ross Schwartz. And this book is basically about this young girl who is in captivity. She is in this cell with like 20, no, 13-ish more women, and they have these patrolmen who are always like guarding them, etc., and they don't know why they're there, they don't remember. But this young girl is really young, so she doesn't remember a lot of things, and then something happens. But let me just tell you in advance, I really like this book and I can see what the hype is about, but I will talk to you about it super soon. But yeah, I am just glad that I found it and I read it and it's amazing. But another book that I am really hyped about, that I read, no, I heard of this man speaking at the Jaipur Literature Festival in 2020 when it was like online, and I was like, I need to read this book ASAP. And this is a non-fiction, but it's about color. So it's The World According to Color by James Fox, and it's a cultural history. So basically, he goes back and he tries to understand like the importance of colors in different parts of time, and like what did they mean, and what is the cultural significance, and all of that sort of stuff. And like I just think that like it sounded so interesting when he was talking about it, first of all. So if I can find that video, where like I think they have it online on YouTube or something like that, if I can find that, I'll link that for you. But yeah, I'm just like, I was like, I'm sold about like this book, and I couldn't find it anywhere, and now it's finally come as like a paperback in like the Penguin Classics edition, I guess. So yeah, I'm really excited, I'm really kicked. I'm gonna start reading this, and then I'll give you updates and tell you more about color, I guess. Hello? Sorry, the camera shifted a bit, but never mind. Hi, this is a book that I'm going to talk to you about next. So this is a book called Really Good, actually, by Monica Heisey. Hasey? I don't know. But yeah, this is, the author is basically the writer of Schitt's Creek, which is a TV show that I absolutely love. And I actually am trying to do this thing where I read books written by TV writers, screenplay writers of like TV shows I really like. Basically, do you get what I mean? Books written by authors who have written my favorite TV shows. Thank you. That's what I meant. So yeah, so I have this one, then I have the guy who wrote Deadpool, then I have a book by Michael Schur, who basically came up with The Office, Parks and Rec, The Good Place, etc. So yeah, I have those three, but if you have any other recommendations of authors who are also like screenplay writers or just like writers for various TV shows or like movies or whatever, let me know. I am interested and I may have a plan. But this one is basically about a new divorcee, and then how I don't know, she's talking about the uncertainties of modern love, friendship and happiness, from a new stunning voice. So I again have heard a lot of mixed things about this, but I am intrigued, and I just think that like it sounds interesting, and also the cover is really cool. So there's that. And then the last two books that I have right now
That is not correct.
are books that I've actually read. And you're like, Smriti, why would you buy books that you've actually read? It's because I really love them and I just have them on my Kindle. So this is part of a series, and it is the Monk and the Robot series. So I love this book. It's by Becky Chambers, and I've spoken about this way too many times on this channel. But essentially, the first one is this one, which is A Psalm for the Wild Built, and it's about this tea monk who goes out into the wild in this world that is way in the future, where robots essentially have gained consciousness and were like, we're going now. And the world was like, cool, peace, may the force be with you, I guess. And yeah, they basically go out into the wild, and no one has seen a robot or like machines in like a really long time. And then this tea monk finds the robot or whatever, they come across each other, and then it talks about like life. And if you feel like you are sort of aimless in life right now, then this is the book for you. I've always said like it's a little cute little balm for your life, you know. It just helps. So, and this is the sequel to it, and it's going to be a series, and I love them with all of my heart. So yeah, these are the books that I have bought, apart from some other books that have either been borrowed by my brother or I have gifted them already to like my aunts and stuff like that. So, oh wait, no, I have more. What am I talking about? I also went to the bookshop Jorbag. Smriti, you're losing it. All right, my bad. So I bought 5 books that I have right now, which is, yeah, wow, that's great. You thought, and I thought that I was done, but I was not. All right, so we have, first off, Bookshop Jorbag, amazing, amazing collection, small little place, but just books that I've never heard of in my life. But I always go there and like see something that I really want to read, and they will be like, oh my god, you need to read it, or they will recommend me books that I've literally never heard of, and they'll be like, this is amazing, please read it. And I'm like, okay, I trust you. So yeah, okay, this was a book that I actually knew that I wanted to read. I knew what it was about, so I bought it because I've been meaning to read it for a while, and that is The Lonely City: Adventures in the Art of Being Alone. And yeah, I'm a little alone in life, you know. So I was like, why not? But Olivia Lang is a really beautiful writer. Apparently, I've never read her, but I've read like excerpts of her, and she is talking about living in New York City, which is an amazing city. It's full of chaos. I have too lived in it. Fun fact. And it is so yeah. So I'm excited to see what she talks about. I'm excited to hear of New York again, but also just like what she has to say about being alone. You know. So that's the first book that I actually knew something about, but the rest are books that I knew nothing about, but they sounded so interesting that I was like, yeah, okay. So this was a book that I just picked up myself, and I wasn't really like recommended this, but I was like, you know, this just sounds so up my alley. And this one is called Careering, by Daisy Buchanan. And if that name sounds familiar, just go like, Great Gatsby. Great, yeah, but not the same person. Anyway, so this one is basically about these two women who are writers, but they are sort of like disillusioned by the life that they have and their career. And essentially one is trying to be a writer in a place, but she has like these blogs, and then the other one is a person who's seen her blogs and she wants to start like this magazine or something like that. And they both have been bitten and betrayed by the industry that they have dedicated themselves to. Will this one person wake up to the way that she's being exploited before her protege realizes that not everything is copy? Can either women reconcile their love for work with the fact that work will never love them back? And that really called out me, you know, personally. Like, love will never love me back. I mean, work will never love me back. Love also may not never love me back, but work will definitely never love me back. So that was fun. The only work that does love me back is y'all. Aww, so cute. Okay. Yeah, so that was this one. And then the 3 others are books that like literally Sonal, who works there, was like, have you read this one? And I was like, no. And then it sounded really interesting and I bought them, even though they are little expensive. So this one is a 100-page odd book, and it is called Miss Lonely Hearts by Nathaniel West, who is apparently an like famous author, I think. And essentially this one is about a man in like the Great Depression times, and he writes this thing called Miss Lonely Hearts, basically responding to broken-hearted, sick of it all, and desperate like people. And yeah, he's made fun of and all of that sort of stuff, but it is set in New York at the height of the Great Depression. Miss Lonely Hearts stands as one of the most intelligent and hilarious works of the 20th century, laced with dark humor, irony, and razor sharp insight. This is a novel that is as hauntingly relevant today as it was nearly 100 years ago. So that kind of sold me, but what didn't sell me was that this is 650 rupees, you know, and it's 100 pages. And I don't know if this makes sense to you, but for me, I'm just like, I don't know about the ROI of that. You know, like the return on investment. Because for me, I'm like, if it's a thick ass book, if it's a thick ass book and it's 650 pages, I'm like, okay, that maybe makes sense a little bit. But if it's like a thin ass book, then I sort of still have problems with it. And I don't know, that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because it's still a full book. But like in my head, I have issues. And that's just me, I think. But Yeah, okay. The next one, which is the second last one, actually, in real life, is this one, which is The Bay of Angels by Anita Booker. Ta-da, ta-da. And this was a book again I never heard of, but essentially it's about this girl whose a mother, widowed mother, marries this generous older man named Simon, and then Simon suffers a bad fall, and Zoe and her mother find themselves surrounded by well-meaning strangers and must learn how and how not to trust appearances. And that sounded really interesting to me, so I was like, okay, sure. And it was recommended. But the last book that I have sounds really messy, but also the bell rang. Sorry about that. All right, so it's basically called the Three of Us, and it's basically about a wife, a husband, and her best friend, and they are all together in an apartment. And essentially, what happens is that it's set over a single day. I'm sorry that I'm doing this thing where I'm reading from the back, but I don't remember what this was about, and I feel like I'll be able to explain it better. But I'm sorry I'm doing that. But basically, it's set over a single day. Husband, wife, and best friend Temmie toe the lines of compromise and betrayal, told in three parts, three people's perspective, and their visions of themselves and one another begin to slowly unravel until a startling discovery throws everyone's integrity into question. But also, more importantly, what happens is that the husband and best friend love you, but they hate each other. So the wife's best friend and the husband hate each other, and the three of them are doing something, and then it all unravels over a period of one day. And I just think that that sounds so interesting. So these are all the books that I bought for myself. It's like you can barely see it on screen. And then let me try to pick them up. Let me try to pick them up. I can do it. I believe in myself. All right, let's see. But yeah, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, then please do hit the thumbs up button. If you guys are new, then like say hi down below, because I know a bunch of y'all have started following me sort of recently. But also, again, thank you so much to everyone who has gifted me all of these books. You don't know how much it means to me, but I will be coming back super soon with more videos. So look forward to that. And yeah, these are all the books that I have. Okay. Hopefully they won't fall over, but it's just really hard to carry this. But haha. Okay. I'm gonna go now because this is really hard to carry. Okay. Bye.